Welcome everybody to the Zillennial Vortex. I'm Rohit, this is Tanisha. What we're going to be doing today is summarizing one of our favorite creepypastas, the story of the Russian sleep experiment. As ominous as it sounds, it is more ominous than that. Tanisha, give us a rundown of the experiment.
The Russian sleep experiment.
Yes, the Russian sleep experiment.
Late 1940s, Russian scientists during war wanted to keep their soldiers a little more active throughout war, because then soldiers who want rest and sleep are not efficient enough in fighting war. They needed hard machines that would fight continuously with the same kind of energy. They started experimenting on stimulants, and they got this gas stimulant that they wanted to test. They got 5 prison subjects, war prison subjects, locked them in a chamber, a well-furnished, super comfy living chamber with beds and books and their own toilets, pretty sorted, released the gas and checked how well it worked. Now these 5 prisoners were promised freedom, maybe, was a lie. They were promised false freedom if they stayed awake till the experiment ended. So if the gas worked,
And
they
how
would
long
stay
were
awake.
they required to stay awake?
The experiment went on for 15 days, but
15
I think they
days.
wanted just machines that stayed up throughout to fight wars, which went on for over months, right? So
That's messed up.
it is messed up.
To stay awake for 15 days?
They stayed awake for 15
For 15 days?
They actually could have stayed awake a lot longer, but they were killed before that.
So let's break this down, okay? Now you're saying Russian scientists give a gas stimulant to 5 subjects, stay awake for 15 days.
Yeah.
What happens on daily intervals? Let's break it down. We have these scientists who are looking through a tiny little glass porthole
Yeah.
into these
5
subjects.
inches, which means they couldn't see nothing. So their only form of communication was like a microphone that where the subjects could speak.
Okay,
to
they
the
had a microphone
experimenters.
inside where they could hear what was happening
Yeah,
inside.
and they could command over the
Okay,
subjects.
but
like
they
do
couldn't
this.
see anything. They could see something, but not like super clearly.
Say blobs of moving flesh. Yeah,
Okay,
sure.
right. So 4 days, everything is good. 5 days, they start to slowly deteriorate in condition. They're talking about things that hurt them and what kind of
They
also failures they had.
whispering into the microphone, and they snitch on the other subjects, hoping that they would get their freedom faster,
Wow.
which is like a little. Now they want to get out, right? And this is a super important point, because day 5 they're asking to be released. Things get a lot scarier and darker.
But see, this is what I get, right? I know creepypastas are fictional stories or narrations or whatever it is based on a modicum of truth that may
Yeah.
have,
Yeah,
this experiment might have been done.
Yeah.
But then when you read this shit, it's just so far-fetched that you can't even believe that the Russians did something like this. I mean, look at
You
this.
can't believe the Russians did something.
No, the Russians would have done something like this, but not to this extent. I mean, look at this. Okay, after the 9 days, the first of them started screaming, "Big shit." Okay, whatever. Okay, he ran the length of the chamber repeatedly, yelling at the top of his lungs for 3 hours straight.
And then
Okay.
broke his vocal cord.
He was probably like 4 years old, and broke his vocal cord. Yes, he continued attempting to scream, but was only
They
able to
weren't
produce
4
occasional
years
squeals.
old.
No, but still, it would have been better if they were 4 years old, because then there would have been a lot more understanding of what really happens in the human mind. Okay, doing experiments on adults is far worse than doing experiments on little children.
No.
Yes, because little children, if you see mathematically, they have spent only 4 years on this planet. They have less to lose.
No.
But adults who are 30 years old,
No.
they
just-
have 30 years worth of life that you're taking away from them. Think about it. Okay, this is a thought experiment. Is it
It's
better?
the other way around. You're taking away
I'll
96
tell you
years of a
what.
child's life.
No. Whichever way you do the math, doing experiments on adults is far worse than doing experiments on children.
Just continue reading that.
Okay? Because if I'm a 30-year-old man, I have parents who are 60 years old, you're taking away 30 years of their life as well. But if I have a son who's 4 years old and you do an experiment on that piece of shit and he dies, you have taken away only 4 years of my life. You have not taken away 30 years of my life. So think about it.
I'm
Okay.
not gonna. No.
It's a thought experiment.
It's not a.
Okay, it's just like saying that the best protein comes from your own hand, okay, when you're eating chicken. See, but okay, I think this story gives us a very nice insight into what can be expected if you really push
your limits.
your limits, right? Because the way this author has described, right? Now, okay, after 9 days, one of the dudes started screaming, started running for 3 hours straight, and whatever hell, he damaged his vocal cords and all that.
A fun fact about that is that when this guy was doing this, the remaining 4 subjects didn't react to it at all, which is weird, right?
Which is
When you
weird.
know you're locked in,
Exactly.
and then you see someone going all crazy, you would expect some form of reaction. You would at least be like, oh shit, what's happening? But they just sat there still.
It's natural. And then see what they did, okay? They continued whispering into the microphones until the second of the captives started to scream. So one screams, the other's like, chill bro, take it easy, you're just staying awake. And then
Or
the
just
second
probably
screams.
staring at their wall.
Yeah, and then the second screams,
Yeah.
and then apparently the 2 non-screaming captives took the books apart,
Yeah.
smeared page after page with their own feces,
Yeah.
and pasted.
They had working toilets, by the way.
Yes, that's a good question, right? Okay, I know you're awake.
Yeah.
For like how many days is this? 9 days.
Yeah.
But even though you're awake, I mean, which means literally your eyes are not closing. Your brain is not getting any kind of rest.
Yeah.
You are in overdrive.
Yeah.
So they are probably hallucinating, right?
Yeah.
What they thought of as the pot of the toilet
Yeah.
was actually a piece of paper. Now, I don't know any kind of origami that can shape this piece of paper into a toilet.
I don't think that's. I think they picked it up from the toilet and then got.
Oh my god, that's even weirder.
That's what smearing is, right?
No, not necessary. Smearing, like, that is with your hand.
You can't smear with your. No, that's just weird.
What I mean is.
I woke up in the morning and I took a big smear.
Think about it. They would not have even gone to the toilets.
They
what
probably
they would have done is just
defecated right there.
Defecated right there.
Picked it up.
And then, it smells all right.
No.
And then, the experiment was supposed to be for 15 days, but they kept food enough for 30 days because they thought that these guys might be hungry.
Overeat. Yeah.
Okay. But the curious thing is that they didn't eat that food. They started inflicting damage on their own fingers.
Yeah. They started chewing themselves.
Themselves.
Cannibalism.
Self-cannibalism. Yes, they were cannibalizing
like how we
themselves.
thought it's the same word.
Okay. But it's just so curious. Okay, that they would smear page after page with their own shit and block the glass as if that did any good. Okay. And then after that,
fast forward to day 14.
the screaming promptly stopped,
Oh.
and so did the whispering on the microphones.
Yeah. But here's the thing, right? There's this huge debate on whether they were hallucinating throughout, whether they drove themselves to madness or the gas was actually working, but it was a twisted stimulant that made them.
That said, though, if you're awake for so long, I mean, I'm sure you're going to hallucinate.
Yeah, you go into sleep psychosis or something like that. But you get into a very mental state where there's constant paranoia, and then your fear, and there's violence, and then there's disruption, and then you're crying, and then you're screaming, and then you're next thing you know it, you're playing with your own shit, which is weird, even though it looks like it.
Yeah, which is almost like a devolution of sorts, because it's only the apes that play with their feces and fling it at each other.
They do?
They do. Yeah. They fling it at you. They're irritated. They fling it at each other.
I like them. Why do we let go of that trend?
Can you imagine how weird it will be? Okay, if you disagree with someone.
You're a piece of shit.
No, climate change is not real. Okay, you left-wing liberal fuck. Okay, what? And no, that's just wrong, Tanisha. We cannot do that. We live in a civilized society.
That's so funny.
Okay, we live in a civilized society.
We live in a civilized society, and you keep speaking only about cannibalism.
Because cannibalism is the diet of the future. Okay,
stop talking. No, cannibalism is not the diet of the future.
Mark my word, in the year 2400. So then, what happens after that? On the morning of the 14th day, the researchers did something they didn't think they would do. Now
see, they had to do this because there was complete silence,
radio silence.
And they spoke to them through the microphone, and they didn't get any response.
No, that was not before the 14th day, right? The guys were... No, they didn't speak to the microphone, did they? From day 5 to day 14, it was pitch dark.
Yeah.
They couldn't see anything, they couldn't hear anything.
Yeah.
For some reason, these people who were awake decided to just stay quiet.
Yeah.
Okay? So on day 14, the researchers did something unthinkable. They had an intercom inside and they thought, wait a second, why do we wait for 9 days, for 14 days just to communicate with
Wait, I'm
them?
the scientist.
Yeah.
Redo it. Wait a second. Why did we wait for what?
14 days.
14 days when we could have spoken to them
Like immediately.
like immediately.
Yeah.
Don't.
What kind of fools are we? Okay, we wasted the money of the KGB. We're talking about the Russian government here. Okay, they don't take
Yeah.
all this stuff very lightly.
And this is
Okay?
war.
And then after 14 days, all they could say was,
We stole money now to put it in this experiment and we're wasting our
but then
time.
that's the thing, right? You can't just call after 14 days and be like, yo, you up? what kind of response are you gonna get?
Imagine.
Okay.
One subject's just like, wrong number, who dis?
They announced that we are opening the chamber to test the microphones. Step away from the door and lie flat on the floor or you will be shot. Compliance will earn one of you your immediate freedom.
Ding, ding,
right?
ding, ding, ding.
And they are all outside the door thinking, yeah, I think we did a good job. I think that was very well said. Okay.
We thought of a super good plan.
Yeah. Now
Silent we got.
let's just open the door and go
drooling.
inside.
Continue.
Okay, let's just open the door and go inside.
Yeah.
Okay?
Yeah.
And so they opened the door.
Yeah.
When they said this, that, dude, we're going to open the door, we want to check the microphones, one of you is going to be the lucky winner to be free.
Yeah. Yeah.
The response was a chilling, we no longer want to be freed.
Whisper into your mic. It'll sound cooler.
The response was,
We no longer want to be free.
we no longer want to be freed.
Viral ASMR.
Cuck.
What? The last sentence.
Don't open the door. Because if you open the door,
We will
if you open the door, you'll see that I've shat all around myself. It's a very embarrassing situation for me.
I'll fling some shit at you.
So they rip this off, and then you're able to see through the rib cage
Yeah.
to the lungs
Yeah.
and the beating heart.
Yeah.
Why would I, in my right mind, open my skin up, take out my intestines or blood vessels, or not blood vessels, intestines, and just lie it on the floor? Why would I do that? How am I
I
going to
don't
walk?
think they were human anymore.
But
Do you think this is something?
no, I know this is not a true
Yeah.
story. But what I'm trying to say is, if you're writing a story, make it believable, right? This is all far from believable. Because how the person is going to take a shit if his intestine is on the floor?
Do you
When-
realize the amount of blood they would have lost? I don't think anybody can survive that.
Yeah, plus you know what? See, this is...
They
this
were
is,
alive,
no,
by the way.
Tanisha, listen to me. The authors missed a wonderful golden opportunity here to reach a wider range of audience, okay? Now, we spend years in school learning about the digestive system. We have never been able to witness digestion happening. When you have a subject whose digestive organs are open for display and the digestion process is happening, why not get a bunch of school students and
Because-
show them?
Because
Dimitri, this is what digestion is, okay? They were digesting their own flesh and they kept saying, I must remain awake. Yeah, bitch, you're awake. Stop saying you want to be awake. All we want to do is vacate the premises because we have to refurbish this room and get another few participants inside, okay? We can't wait for you to just say, I want to stay awake. Yeah, we get it. You were awake for 15 days. You didn't benefit from that. Your life is shitty. Your intestines are out. You've been shitting all over the place. Yeah, big whoop. Such is life. Just vacate the premises and let the other participants come in, okay?
so
Because
Ukola-
this is like a no refund thing. You have to pay for the damages. You need to pay a deposit up front, okay? All you have
they
to do is
paid with their lives.
your life is not worth shit because you're a prisoner of war. Okay, now we have to get it painted. Okay, and you think this burgundy, French burgundy color is easy to get? It's not easy to
Who
get.
the hell's gonna clean up the shit? Who?
Yeah, that's the
And
thing.
we now have to operate your organs back in because what are we
Exactly.
gonna do with stupid
Exactly.
organs that
Now,
are
that's
laid out on the floor?
Exactly. Why would the scientists want to operate them back into shape? Like
Because
if
the
the guy
experiment
is
was
dead,
supposed to be working.
Yeah, so they were awake. End of story. You tell the boss, 15 days they are awake. In what condition they are is none of my business because they are awake. You wanted to know if they are awake? Yeah, they are awake. Now, if you want your soldiers to do that shit, you please go ahead and do it. But don't give me any credit for this science because I don't want to be associated with this kind of gruesome activity.
Clearly, the experiment was kind of working.
The experiment was working. So then this guy is like, okay, let's just see. Doctor,
What happens?
Let's just see what happens when you put them back inside.
Yeah.
Okay, so they started with 5. And then what? 2 people died on the operating table.
Died.
1 person died on the operating table.
Inside the chamber. So
1
when they
person
walked
inside the
in,
chamber.
2
1
people
dead.
on the operating
table they
table
died.
dead.
So there's 3 people gone. 60% of the population in that
One
room
person died in the operating table.
1 person died in
And
the operating
how?
table.
Because they gave him, so they overdosed on
Painkillers.
no, what is that called?
Morphine.
Anesthesia.
Anesthesia.
And then he died because it was overdose. So a normal level of induced anesthesia that would put a human to sleep could not put this, whatever it was, it's not human anymore, asleep. So he died because he went to sleep. He died because he slept. He wasn't supposed to sleep. So
Exactly,
the gas worked.
which is what he was saying. Don't let me go to sleep. I don't want to sleep.
I just want my organs out.
I
want to look at how my body works.
Works,
I
exactly.
also want to make good pots because I'm clearly...
Pots? What, you make poop pots? Are you serious right now? What?
They played with it. So
You know, when you're in a situation where you are in a room where there is 2 feet of just liquid and they have blocked a drain with the flesh and the all that
The
shit,
blood.
and you're shitting all over the place.
Yeah.
Okay, and keep in mind, because there's liquid on the floor when you're shitting, it's not going to stay in one place. It's going to rise up and float.
This is not so much
Okay?
blood.
No, listen to me. Okay?
There's not so much blood.
No, read the story. There is two feet of liquid, okay, floating, right? Let's okay. Now, in that state of mind,
Yeah.
where you're seeing 4 of your childhood friends just shit and shit and shit, and it's not even like diarrhea, it's like chunky shit, okay? Okay, it's like
Chunky shit.
it is chunky shit.
It's not.
It's like chocolate chip
probably-
cookie, okay? It's like that, and then in what state of mind will you think that will make a good pot? Maybe I should just gather. Like Vladdy, just give me some of your shit, okay? My pot is a little incomplete.
Also, weird thing is when these guys were being operated, right? Every time they got cut, the guy that died because of the anesthesia, so the scientist, why is this cracking? The scientists realized that if you give them something that get them to sleep, they would die immediately, and they didn't want this to happen because they wanted to continue the experiment. So they kept the other 2 awake throughout the entire operation. So these guys stayed up and watched themselves being operated on, right?
Yeah.
So, and they loved it because one of the nurse apparently couldn't stop looking at the subject's face because he kept looking at her and grinning, and then another guy kept the guy who lost his vocal cords kept saying and they were like, give him like a paper and pen so we'll find out if there's something important, and he said, don't stop cutting or keep cutting. So they wanted
That
pain.
is so twisted.
Right, so it's weird. When they went back in, and with the researchers too, the guy that freaked out was like, I'm not staying locked in here with these beasts because they're not human anymore. No human would ever induce so much pain. No human would ever bleed out so much and still stay alive. That's secondary because YOLO, let's just continue with they lived after that entire experience or incident of having every single organ pulled out of their system. He shot one of they sent in a soldier also, I think, to protect them. He shot the soldier and then he pointed at the other.
He shot the commander, not the soldier.
Oh.
He's like, what? You're gonna send me in? Where did he get a gun from? Like when they're sending him in.
The commander would have a gun, right?
So he just, quick reflexes, very smart.
Yeah.
And then he turned the gun on the mute subject and blew his brains out.
Shot him.
That's good, that's fine. Because he's mute anyway, he didn't deserve to live, but that's fine. You did a good job there, that's good. And then he turns to the last one and then he says, oh, I'm not going to be logged in here, not with you because you're ugly and you spoiled my paint and all that. But what the hell are you? I must know, because apparently if he didn't know, he could not have slept. All he had to do was shoot that subject.
You get it? You
and
get
read.
it? The ration sleep experiment? If you didn't know, he couldn't have.
Okay. So the subject smiled, and this is where the author just gets his or her
Creative juice.
full creative juices flowing. And granted, it's a gripping story full of glaring loopholes. Okay, at times it's just absolutely ridiculous.
Zombies.
But this is where it climaxes.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. So what were they, Rohit?
Have you forgotten so easily? The subject asked. We are you. Oh, please. We are the madness that lurks within you all, begging to be free at every moment in your deepest animal mind. Bullshit. We are what you hide from in your beds every night. I don't hide from anything. We are what you sedate into silence and paralysis when you go to the nocturnal haven where we cannot tread. This is just made and written for people to get confused. It means what? You know what this means? Listen to me. Okay. We are what you sedate into silence and paralysis when you go into your nocturnal haven. What is a nocturnal haven? Is a dream. So what this author is trying to say is these subjects cannot dream anymore because they are constantly awake.
Yeah.
And in our dreams, we become the evil things that we cannot be in real life.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So you have dreams of tasty human beings. You cannot do that in real life. Right?
Not even funny anymore. It's getting just scary now. I think we'll reach with at least the kind of transformation in technology that's happening now. I think we'll reach a point where we don't need to put people in such traumatic situations.
I'll tell you why that's not true. Now, I'm not a scientist, but what I do know for a fact is that the human brain is an extremely, extremely, extremely complicated organ, right? The kind that we have not seen before. We can make all these artificial intelligence platforms and all that shit, they'll never be more superior than the human brain, is because we make decisions at a different level, whether it's based on emotional reasons or situational, whatever it is. I don't think we'll ever get to a stage where we can mimic the human brain. We can never really find out what's going to happen, how we're going to react to a particular situation.
What if lives are levels of a video game, and then as soon as you find out the ultimate truth, or as soon as you find out the way the mind works, you just die, which means you're leveling up to another dimension.
And then what happens in that dimension?
Then you find the ultimate truth in that dimension, and then you level up.
Okay, and then it's a case where you're just keeping on leveling up.
Yeah.
There is no sort of salvation.
You don't know. Maybe there is, but we don't know because we're not dead, so we haven't leveled up. That's so cool.
That's cute.
What if the living part of your life, what if life was actually not all of this, the wake part, but what if life was the sleeping part? What if you live your life just to dream at night? So you have experiences so that you can dream.
You live your life just to dream at night.
Yeah. So you're actually meant to just sleep, but then sleeping won't have any...
But you need content.
So you wake up and you live life, you get experiences and you get things that you can... In your subconscious mind, you put them in, right? You've got them in there, and then you sleep. And then your mind works in a very intricate, designed way where it pulls out these different events. I actually like
this purpose of life because
you dream it.
It completely excludes any kind of personal accountability, right? A lot of people, wrestle with the question, what is the purpose of life? Yeah. Is the purpose of life to be happy? Is the purpose of life to hurt as many people as possible? Is the purpose of life to die? But if you argue that the purpose of life is to dream, then whether you die, at childbirth, whether you die when you're 2 years old or whether you die when you're 100 years old.
What if death in this level is just understanding the mind? You'd crack it. You crack this entire system, and then one day you sleep, and then you're like, shit, this is
I'm
what
done.
happened.
Yeah.
And then there's no more living because you've cracked the code. Then why do you have to wake up and
So
find
what-
more stimulus to go back to
Right.
sleep?
So I get that with people who are older, right? But what about children who die?
Why can't they? Again, we don't know how the mind works, right? We're systematically trained to speak this way. What is English? English would have never existed. English still doesn't exist in an absolute truth world, right?
Yeah.
Because there is no absolute truth. There has never been an absolute truth. We've constructed these systems and we've constructed different things to, in a way, communicate with each other, but what we've constructed has also boxed us in this supposed reality. But there is no reality. There's not supposed to be a reality. There's no truth. Truth can never exist. We gave all of these systems. We made all of this up. So soon as we crack that, or whatever the ultimate code is to crack, we don't
After
need to
that?
wake up to live it again. Why are we doing that? There's no reason to do that again. So then we sleep, and then we move on to level 2. Or maybe this is level 2. We don't know what level we're on.
If you want to read the entire story, we'll put up the link in the description. It's a very gripping 10-minute read.
Yeah.
So do go and check it out, whatever the creepypasta is.
Don't forget to like, subscribe, and share, and follow us for more content on our Instagram. We never talk about that. We have an Instagram page. It's an Instagram page, and it's fun. You should go follow that too.
Yes, please. We'll see you again later.
Peace.
Bye-bye.